Wines are distilled in big copper kettles and they are stored in museum oak barrels. And with this Asper art, we make one of our most well-known specialties, the so-called Rudesheim coffee, which is served in an original Rudesheim coffee cup. Besides the Drosselgasse, the market square plays an important role in Rudesheim. Here we find the Catholic Church St. Jacobus and of course the town. All year round we have a lot of festivals. The highlight in summertime is the wine festival with the crowning of a wine queen. Then, just before Christmas, we find here an attractive Christmas market where one can get Christmas decorations and specialities from a lot of different countries. The most well-known museum here in Rudesheim is Siegfried's Mechanical Music Cabinet, which is housed in the ancient Bremsehof next to the Drosselgasse. This museum offers one of the biggest collections of data-operated music instruments of the last 200 years. All of them were renovated by Mr. Wendel and his sons.
What you will see and hear in this house is one of the largest collections of self-playing musical instruments here in Europe. Very, very special about this collection, it is privately owned. So actually, there is one gentleman who collects all these instruments, and his name is Siegfried Wendel. He started to collect around 50 years ago. Back in those days, it was just a hobby. But nowadays, Mr. Wendel has already more than 350 different music machines. There is even a small workshop in a neighbor town where they do the restoration of these instruments. My name is Melanie, and I will show you the highlights of this collection. So here in this room, we are going to start with the Weber Maestro. The Weber company came from the Black Forest, and they constructed this type of instrument between 1925 and 1929. Now, they wanted to construct a machine that really sounds like a human orchestra. That means it contains 19 different instruments. Some of them are quite easy to figure out, like, for example, the xylophone or other percussion instruments. With others, it's a bit more difficult. If you have, for example, looked at these pipes here in the front row, they look like ordinary organ pipes, but actually this is the violin. Altogether, these These instruments can reach a capacity of 30 musicians. So, as you can imagine, this machine really plays loud, and I hope you like Charleston. In 1908. It was built by the company Brothers Buddha from Waldkirch. Waldkirch actually is a small town in the Black Forest, and those men, the Buddha company, they constructed this instrument for a fairground in Budapest. Now, we found this instrument nearby Budapest in an old barn, and back then it was completely dismantled. It took us 4 years to restore all those bits and pieces, but nowadays it plays again. And as far as we know, this is the only fairground organ ever built in Germany with an oriental facade. Besides that, we had very good luck with the instrument. It just fits into the room. It's a so-called cardboard or book organ, and this was the software for the instrument. What would you guess? How many minutes, hours, days of music are to be found on such an organ?
2 minutes. Not long.
Very, very close, sir. Actually, 90 seconds of music, 1.5 minutes, that's all.
Wow.
Incredible, isn't it? Yeah. Nowadays, you've got a small problem with the instrument. You see, all of those mechanical musical instruments have no volume control. They always play as loud as possible, and this particular one was built for outside. Enjoy! damage the record. By the way, this is a 1910 His Master's Voice gramophone. The record is much younger. It dates back to 1956, and it's a very well-known song by Doris Day. So, and now, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a very special instrument. It was presented on a music fair in 1909 for the first time, and the very next day, a journalist wrote, "This is the eighth wonder of the world." Thank you. This house is in former times a residence of knights. The family's name of those knights was Bronzer, and they didn't build the house in one period, but within the centuries they always added small parts to it. We are here now on the part which goes back to 1310, and the room in which we are was in former times the Great Hall. Now, they added these paintings in 1559 for the wedding of one of the sons of that knight's family. And so, of course, on the ceiling, one can find the coat of arms of the knights who lived in here. Here in this room, we've got a reproducing grand piano. The baby grand was built by Rudesheim. The pneumatical mechanism which one can find inside was done by a company with the name Welt. They built the very first of these mechanisms in 1904. And this again was something very, very special because they had two recording pianos. On those recording pianos, the great pianists of those days took place to play their music. Meanwhile, the paper roll was produced in a black box. Now, the results of this system were so excellent that even music experts couldn't hear any difference between the play of the real pianist or the Welt paper roll. We are going now to listen to something famous composed by Franz Liszt. Ein Liebestraum, a tune of love. It was played by one of his students, by Eugène Dabert. Not too dangerous. Then there are several snuff boxes, and I just want to give you an idea of how these little birds sound. So here in my hand, I've got a modern replica built in our workshop in the neighbor town. All the originals were done during the 19th century. The replica's only about 10 years old, but it still functions the original way. Fantastic, isn't it?
Do you warm it up?
Yeah, and when I warm it up entirely, it plays for 4 minutes.
And what makes the sound?
There's a small whistle and 2 bellows inside. Eventually, between 1888 and 1892, in Buffalo, New York, in a private workshop. The man who owned this workshop was called Bernhard Duffy. To be honest, I am not the very best of them. I've bought myself a wonderful hat to look more professional. Then I figured out that doesn't help too much. So what I always do at this point, I'm always looking for a victim. It was just turning the handle clockwise.